I know that this is a huge, complex question, given the pluralities, temporalities of a deconstructed world. But I'm going to ask it anyway. Which way is north?
I don't believe in a true north, because that implies that the Venezuelans' true north is, or if it isn't, it ought to be the same as somebody from Vietnam, or as somebody from Uganda, or the United States, or Canada, or Russia. This is so driven by the circumstance, the aim of leadership, the purpose of leadership, the goal of leadership, the true north, is so driven by circumstance. Even unethical, this is about ethics, even unethical means are sometimes required to get to ethical ends. So if you happen to be in a leadership role, it is up to you to determine the true north of the situation within which you're embedded, your own true north, but also that, and I'm going to drop the term true north, but also the preferred goal of everybody else for whom you're responsible. It is driven by the situation. And to suggest that everybody should have some fantasy ethical world, again, I know ethics is your common point of view, but even Abraham Lincoln, who is so, an American icon, he suspended the writ of habeas corpus. He felt it was necessary to do so. And by the way, over 600,000 people died during the American Civil War. The cost of that war, we again make an icon out of Lincoln, but the cost of that war, it would be in the many millions today if you did a proportion per capita. So we best not have absolutes about what is ethical and what is not, and what is true north and what is not, whatever sort of noble words one uses, and do an analysis of the situation in which we find ourselves and do our very, 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 very best to be as ethical and as decent and as fair-minded as possible. But my fair-minded, my ethical, may not, depending on where we're both situated, be the same as yours. And so I think you need to take the situation into account. It depends. I'm very leery of suggesting to anybody that my idea of a true north, or what's ethical or what's decent, ought to be the same as yours. You might have a different situation entirely. You're going to be working with different people than I'm going to be working with. Why should I impose my sense of rectitude? There are some universals, like better not to kill another person. However, I can tell you, having studied the leadership literature in depth, including another icon by the name of Nelson Mandela, who in 1964 gave a speech in a South African courtroom defending his trajectory from Gandhian nonviolence to violence. Why violence in his situation he determined was necessary. So who am I to condemn that decision? Those were ethics he arrived at after much forethought and much suffering, and that's what he concluded. So best we don't judge other people and the situation in which they're embedded. It's hard enough for us to determine for ourselves what is right and wrong for myself and for those for whom I'm responsible, if I happen to be in a leadership role, in the situation, in the context within which I'm embedded, and not to judge too harshly those others who might make different choices.